But first, thanks to our wonderful sponsors. I don't know if you just saw the news, but average U.S. household debt just hit $152,000. That's mortgages, cars, cards, student loans. But the national debt just hit $37 trillion. It's all going up. Ask yourself this. When the system hiccups, who bails you out? It's not the Fed, not the politicians, and that's why I own gold. Gold doesn't need a CEO, doesn't need missed earnings. It doesn't freeze your account on a Friday at $4.59. While they print, gold just sits there doing what it's done for thousands of years. Store value. If you're done playing musical chairs with your savings, get something real in your hand. That's why you should try our good friends Kirk Elliott Precious Metals today. Goldwithjustin.com. Kirk and the team going to walk you through what they're doing, whether you're a seasoned pro when it comes to buying precious metals or you're just getting started. Call Kirk and the team today at 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, or go to goldwithjustin.com to find out how they can help you today. No pressure, just facts and a plan. That's goldwithjustin.com. Protect what's yours with gold. Goldwithjustin.com. Do it today. When the grocery shelves go empty, you're out of time. That's the truth. Disasters hit fast. Storms, blackouts, supply chain chaos, and the first thing to vanish is food. That's why smart Americans, just like you, are stocking up now with My Patriot Supply. You can go to preparewithjustin.com right now to get a 3-month emergency food kit, and they'll even throw in a free 4-week food kit to boot. That's 4 whole months of meals ready to eat. No refrigeration.
And 106.9 FM. Live from high atop Monroe Center in downtown Grand Rapids, we're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Yeah, welcome in, folks. Here we go. The show is on the road. And man, oh man, do we have some wild breaking news to put into perspective for you this morning. We're going to be watching the markets. We've already seen oil move. We've already seen Dow futures move, and we knew it would. It happened yesterday, after the announcement was made. If you've been under a rock or in Iran, where there is no internet, really, they don't have any coverage right now. You may want to listen up. We got big stories
News,
today.
weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three.
That's right.
Now today's Big Three.
Stories that matter most. We'll be talking about these around the water cooler, the dinner table, no matter where you are. Powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. Dave Galloway and the team have been helping us. We've bought our home, we refinanced our home with the help of the folks at Heartland Home Mortgage. We even did a home equity line of credit. We save thousands each and every time we work with these guys. We do, and I got to tell you, you're gonna love how easy, how simple the process is. Very nice and faster and better than the big banks. HHMlending.com. Reach out today.
Number one.
Have the team today. It's a great day to do that, and it's a good day for world peace. The president sharing on social media last night, announcing a 2-week ceasefire with Iran hours before his deadline for strikes. And remember, he was going to they were all bent out of shape over this, right? He was going to get rid of an entire civilization. He didn't want to, but he would. And now the same people, let me see if I get this right, the same people that were all bent out of shape about the mean tweet are now equally bent out of shape about the ceasefire and the peace, and are saying he chickened out. This is interesting to watch. I'll try and break some of that down for you coming up here in a bit, but the deal essentially pausing both ways, attacks on Iran and Iran attacks on the U.S., and the Strait of Hormuz will be open. At least that's what they're saying for now, so we'll trust but verify during this process.
Number two.
Oil prices, Dow futures, we're going to check in on those numbers in a minute as well. Seditious Slotkin the sausage queen of Michigan, wants to run the country. This is a wild story, but it's obvious to see that we've got a couple of people running and gunning to be the next president of the United States out of Michigan. We know that Whitmer has been positioning himself, trying to soften and sort of moderate her appeal. We also know that Mayor Pete kind of had his eye on this as well. The former Secretary of Transportation, Mayor Pete, now living in, I believe, Traverse City. And now Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who was elected, as you know, last time around when some came out and said, I can't vote for Mike Rogers. Can you imagine? There's a chance you could get a President Slotkin because a few people said, I won't vote for him. Interesting. Anyway, she was out in Iowa saying she would consider running for president. You only go to Iowa if you're going to run for president. Otherwise, it's foolish. It's Iowa. It's not like there are any beaches there, anything fun to do, particularly this time of year. There's, it's cold and the corn ain't up yet, and there's really nothing. I don't even think they got the corn castle working yet, or whatever that tourist trap is. Anyway, she telling folks, other Midwestern candidates there campaigning, she's focused on the midterms. But again, she doesn't have to run for re-election for several years now. But she wouldn't say no forever. No one else charts the right path, she says, for the party. She may take a closer look at that and whatever it is you have on your plate. You've got to be careful if you're having dinner. Republicans holding on to that seat of former Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Congresswoman stepping down and completely out of her mind here recently. And they held on to it in Northwest Georgia. That special runoff ended with Clay Fuller defeating Democrat Sean Harris. And we'll get news. I think they might have to run this again in, I could be wrong, but they may run this again in November. But as for now, they hold on to that slight majority there in Congress. Republicans do. Anyway, for a while, we'll keep you up to date with the latest on that story and more. Coming up, not only do we have this crazy ceasefire story, which has been, one for the record books, we got the story of astronauts coming home. And speaking of coming home, we know that the pilot and the man, the number 2 in the plane who they were out searching for, on their way home soon. That'll be a big celebration as well. Those folks found and around the airmen. Now, new tech sort of revealed, and I think the CIA had something to do with this as well, that they've been using in order to find those individuals. And it is really fascinating. We're going to talk a little bit about that. It has to do with being able to define, locate a heartbeat out of nowhere, out of thin air, essentially. Really good stuff. And you know what? We'll also hear from you today.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
All right, so that's just part of it. Plus, the Secretary of State candidate, Republican Anthony Ferlini, will be here with us in just moments as well this morning, so you'll be able to hear. He was just newly nominated here in the Republican convention that happened here in Michigan, in Novi, the other side of the state, not too long ago. So what? Making it clear, obviously, as we look at this election, and I've been making the point, this is the most important election in the state of Michigan, maybe for the entire history of the state. And so we will see how it all plays out. Keeping in mind that, again, as important as it was in the 2024 election for us nationally, I think it's just as important here in Michigan and
and maybe even more so to hold on to the state. All right, so here's what we get out of the Iran deal last night. President Trump with this statement, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Likewise, so has everyone else. The United States of America will be helping with the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this is why you get the numbers moving this morning and really starting yesterday. Dow futures over 1,200, nearly 1,300 points right now. S&P's up, NASDAQ is up, oil way down over 20 points, nearly 21 points. It's down this morning, and it continues to move. And if all of this holds, you could see really just a massive turnaround. Now, that's a big if. And I say that because, look, I'm like you. Some of you may be worse, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I gave the president enough, I believe, room to move and negotiate and do the things that he needed to do. And I will tell you, and look, you know this. Not everybody did. Not everybody has, and this is an issue. Okay, we're going to continue to watch this because people are now making it more clear who they are and where they stand as the knives come out. Now, part of this, I believe, is jockeying for power. 2026 plays a role here, but so will 2028, and where things move inside this movement. Some of this is kind of complicated to talk about, but you have essentially two big things. Charlie Kirk was a big player. After his assassination, you saw this vacuum sort of appear. And then some of the sharks started circling and trying to figure out, can I be the voice? Can I step into that role? Can I control what Charlie had? That's just my opinion on what some of the things we've been seeing. And the other thing is, Trump's gone in 28. Who's going to lead the movement? Well, both of these things are foolish because, on one hand, I don't believe that this movement is about any one man. The MAGA movement, America First. This is a movement who found a voice that gave, it gave visibility, it gave a vocal representation to the people who have felt this way, the silent majority for years. Finally, they recognize someone speaking their language, telling it like it is, and that was Donald Trump. Again, he does not determine where the movement goes now. Now, I will say there will only be one Donald Trump. So this is important. You got to get this right. You move on 2028, somebody may be able to pick up the torch and run, but there will only be one Donald Trump. So we don't need people trying to be Donald Trump. We don't need people trying to be Charlie Kirk. We don't need people trying to be anyone else. We need people who are going to be themselves and do exactly what God called them to do and be in that moment. We're all here for such a time as this. We are here uniquely right now to walk through this moment. So what else is in the statement? Well, Iran put out like a 10-point plan that it wasn't Iran, it was Pakistan. Put out this 10 points that they were looking at, Trump and the team behind the scenes. By the way, we got some interesting information that might have been, as shown it was the White House who put this together. And I'll tell you why I think this might have been the case coming up, because it is kind of interesting. And then you've got President Trump coming out saying, essentially declaring victory without declaring victory, saying the United States will be helping the traffic build up to the Strait of Hormuz. They had accomplished everything else. All the military objectives had been met. They got rid of these, all of the leaders who had been keeping that country in the dark for the last 50 years. Most of them anyway, the big top leadership. Alongside of that, they got rid of their nuclear capabilities. They decimated their Air Force or whatever they had, the Navy, completely gone. So now they got a couple of missiles, rockets, things like that they're just sort of shooting off here and there. And they've got some Mad Max, folks who are just out there trying to do their own. By the way, can you imagine if they did have nuclear weapons? All of this that you're seeing right now would be playing out with nukes. So the one thing that they're going to need to do, and the one thing that they're going to put into this plan, is to go in and get some of that enriched uranium whatever's left and evacuate that as well. That is part of what they spoke about. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, by the way. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth earlier this morning from the Pentagon speaking about some of that. We'll have some of those updates in the clips as well. A little bit more from President Trump. Iran can start the reconstruction process, he says. There will be lots of positive action. Big money will be made, and we'll be loading up with supplies of all kinds and just, quote, hanging around, end quote, in order to make sure that everything goes well. He goes on to say, I feel confident that it will, just like we are experiencing in the U.S. This could be the golden age of the Middle East. The golden age of the Middle East. And then, to that point, in most importantly, what we like to see here and what would be great for the midterms, et cetera, in everyone's pocketbook more than anything, right? Gas prices getting back in check. And the Strait would have to move. Traffic would have to resume. Will that happen? Hegseth asked about here.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary and General Kane. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. 2 questions. Iran has said that safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible in coordination with Iran's armed forces and, quote, technical limitations. What do you believe that means? And then we've also heard reports that Iran has continued striking targets well into this morning. At what point are we beyond a grace period? Are we giving them a grace period? Is there a miscommunication there? What's going on with that?
What we know is that Iran is going to say a lot of things. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things, claim a lot of things. What has been agreed to, what's been stated, is the strait is open. Our military is watching. I'm sure their military is watching, but commerce will flow. And that's what you saw the markets react to, is that reality. As far as shooting, that we were monitoring it last night in real time. Of course we are. Iran would be wise to find a way to get the carrier pigeon to their troops out in remote locations to know not to shoot any longer one-way attacks or missiles, because it takes time sometimes for ceasefires to take hold. We're watching it. We're prepared if necessary, but we hope and believe that it'll
more audio from this morning, by the way, coming up this morning. We give you a chance to hear some of that. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth live from the Pentagon a little earlier. All right, we're rolling right along. We'll hear from you coming up this morning as well. In the meantime, check the markets. We'll have the latest on oil prices and more. And what about gas? Yeah, we'll get to that too. We'll talk about it all after this. First, thanks to the folks at Mentality for powering this program and be each and every day. Look, men, you matter. We need you in a fight each and every day to be the best husbands, best fathers, the best in your calling on a daily basis. You can only do that if you are up to par. Get back to where you used to be. Get that edge back, right? Feel great again. LowTUSA.com. Mentality can help you. And we need you in the fight. Go to LowTUSA.com and do it today. Back after this.
It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, April 8th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Michigan Democrats inviting former Vice President Kamala Harris to deliver a speech at the party's convention next week. Democrats will endorse nominees the next day for Attorney General, Secretary of State, university boards, and the State Board of Education. Dana Nessel files another lawsuit against President Trump, challenging his executive order regarding election integrity. This marks her 53rd taxpayer-funded lawsuit against the Trump administration since he took office again in January of 2025. And a judge in a rural county of northern Michigan handing local residents a hard-won victory against a massive solar development that threatened to reshape the quiet area of Grant Township in Sheboygan County. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Is 2026 the year you achieve your health goals? The Good Feet store wants to help. Trade in your bad feet for good feet. We want to help you walk, run, exercise, and play in comfort this year. We're on 28th Street Southeast in Grand Rapids and on West Nidge Avenue in Portage.
All righty, folks. Welcome back in for a fantastic show today. Lots of comments coming in and love to hear from you. Please help us share if you can. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, we'd love to have you help us share. That'll help us get the word out, particularly on Facebook. Help us break that algorithm. Thank you for all you do. Over on Locals this morning in the Frito fam, Mando Mark Gritter. By the way, Mando, you were a winner yesterday. I don't know if you stuck around long enough to hear that, but you're a winner. I owe you an email too, so congratulations. Cook Garden Sow, Patriot Dean, Salo Sue, and many others inside today. Now you're saying to yourself, what do you mean, the winner? Well, each day when you share the show, you're going to put into the running for a chance to win. And what does that look like? Glad that you asked. JustinBarclay.com/store. Got all kinds of goodies inside there. We've got T-shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got mugs, all kinds of good gear and stuff inside the store. And I'd love to give you one of these. Now, you can also go shop and buy some now, but I'd love to just give one to you. If you help share the show today, we'll put you in a running. Over on Rumble, Nancy, Tree Frog, IPV, D1P, thank you for being here with us today on the book. We appreciate you too. Bonnie, Marilyn, Mary, Bruce, Jason, good to see you. Sherry, thank you so much, folks, for being here with us today. Like I said, click share. Help us break the algorithm, and then we will get to where we need to go today together. All right. Back on the air. Got to get some phone calls mixed in, too. Anthony Forlini, Tony Forlini joining us, Macomb County Clerk, Michigan Secretary of State candidate, and we're back in just moments. Stand by.
On our iHeartRadio app, powered by Michigan Auto Law, auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
I don't know if you saw this, but it was pretty interesting to see. It was something that happened on Twitter X that revealed that maybe the White House played a bigger role in crafting everything that happened behind the scenes yesterday. And we'll tell you why that's big, because it shows you who's controlling things with this Iran deal. In just a moment. Stand by. First of all, folks, we'll say thanks to the folks, Kevin Yoder and the folks at Senior Smooth Move. If you heard me talking about this, my parents are kind of in this boat right now. They're moving into those golden years and trying to figure out what the best move is for them. It's kind of a tough time. There's a lot of these conversations that can be really emotional, and you understand why. If you've lived in your home for years or you're starting to wonder whether it still fits your life, maybe your parents or someone you love is going through this, a seminar coming that's just for you. Kevin Yoder and the Yoder Real Estate team at LPT Realty on April 22nd at the Kentwood Library, hosting a free educational seminar focused on downsizing. So whether you're considering a condo, maintenance-free living, or assisted living, you'll learn what the right path for you is, what your home may be worth, and how to build a clear and a transition plan that suits you. Now, seating's limited, but you can register now. So here's what I want you to do. Go to smoothmoveseminar.com. That's smoothmoveseminar.com to get registered and get ready for this event coming up here at the end of the month. Smoothmoveseminar.com with our good friend Kevin Yoder. Okay. This is what I'll tell you, what I'm watching, what I see playing out, and I thought was one of the most interesting pieces. So yesterday, the Prime Minister of Pakistan kind of goofed. There was an edit, at least on the tweet or the post that he put up online. And the funny thing about this is everybody could see this. I don't think they meant for this to happen. And As he posted it, you can see at the top of this thing, it says draft dash Pakistan's PM message on X. This indicates it wasn't written by him or even the people of Pakistan, like any of his people. So who wrote it? Lots of folks think it was the United States. Why would they do this? To help Iran save face and actually develop a path out of this without making them feel completely, totally humiliated. Why? Because any negotiator knows, President Trump, if you ever read The Art of the Deal, you got to give them a path to get out. That's why I find some of this so interesting. So markets are about to open here in just a moment. We'll find out where things go coming up. You stick with us for the latest, and we'll give you all the details this morning right here as we break into our news after this. Thanks to the friends at the Good Feet store. Look, you can get in shape and you can get on the go, whether it's at work or play, in comfort and confidence with the Good Feet store. I've been telling you, I've been ranting and raving, telling you about these guys for quite some time now. Walk in at 28th Street, right in front of Costco, or in Portage, on Westage, in front of Kohl's, and see what they can do for you. I'm telling you, I have never felt better. And I'm on my feet all the time with my kids. And this news keeps me on my toes. So walk into the Good Feet store today and see what I've been telling you about for so long.
Access to affordable credit helps me pay my...
All right, folks, rocking and rolling. Anthony Forlini joins us coming up in just a moment, Secretary of State candidate. And we're watching the stock market rock and roll. Now, again, the stock market goes up, the stock market comes down. We're up about 1,300 points right now. All right, let's see. Are we getting the ding, 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 ding to open? It looks like we're open. We're opening at 1,300. 1384. Hang on. Let me show you this so you can see it. What about oil? That's a good question. I'll pull that up too. Oil price. Oil's down now to 92.64, 91.20. Down even more. Interesting. I think that'll also impact what you see happening with the market today. That's another big thing to keep your eye on. All right. 13. Dow surges 1,300 points as U.S.-Iran ceasefire sends oil tumbling. So there's your headline. And I heard something, and I think this is a fair question. So I may try and address this on the air too, but it's a fair question. But I have to warn you. I have to sort of, and I got to kind of caveat this too. But the question was, okay, so when did gas prices go down? Now, I'm not laughing because I feel the same pain you do at the pump. But here's the thing. This is I think the PC you gotta remember. They always go up very quickly. And they come down sort of slow. Now, what we're seeing here, at least in West Michigan in the last few days, we saw another big jump. I think it was like a 60-cent jump. That is part of the cycle that we go through in West Michigan where it jumps for no reason. It's just them trying, well, I say no reason, but it's them trying to take profits. So they lower it, they get it down about as low as it can go, and then they shoot it back up to try and see if they can make some profits. And that'll all eventually at some point that'll all iron itself out, and it'll kind of even back out. So you'll see that in the next, I don't know, a couple of week or so maybe. Especially with the price of oil coming down. They just may not be able to get away with it for too long. Anyway, this may be an issue for it may be a problem, but we'll wait and see how it all works out for them. I do think if everything holds, and by the way, this is the big if, because nobody can tell you.
I don't care if they're pannikins or if they're pie in the sky, folks. Chicken Little Sky is falling or pie in the sky. It doesn't matter. We don't know. We have to kind of wait and see. We can prayerfully hope that things go well, but we also don't know exactly where things are going to go. So that's just it, and that's an honest answer. Oil down now over 20 points. All right. We keep an eye on this. Again, the stock market is all about psychology too. I mean, it's not a it's not something that it's always tied to to reality. At least I guess that's probably the best way to put it. It's not always tied to reality. All right, stand by. Let me check. Yeah, 419. That's what it's settling at here, Kathy, right now, too. It was like 380. I paid 370. If you go Sam's Club and Costco, it was like 350 something. So it's a wide array. Hang on one second. Okay. Let me see what else I wanted to make sure we got to. Is there anything? Yeah, D1P. That's a really good. So actually, somebody sent me something. I'll dig into this. Jessica sent me something I thought was really interesting about just being completely sort of just tired of all this. D1P said, stop listening to everybody yesterday. Doomsdayers talking about Trump leading us to another Great Depression. Yes, they will tell you. They will say all of those things. And they're like prophets of doom, death, and destruction. And, they never have to account for being wrong. They never have to account for being wrong on any of this. They just move on to the next thing. Hang on, I got to get back on the air here. Stand by.
Or online at guardingyournestegg.com.
Advisory services offered through Talent Private Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend, Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Yeah, welcome back in, folks. It is another wild ride on that pendulum swinging. Markets just opened. We had the latest Dow surging 1,300 points now on that ceasefire in Iran. It's climbing, Dow climbing, and oil plunging. The latest on that, we'll keep an eye on it for you coming up as we dig even further into this. Oil looks down 20 some odd points now. So. And then I just answered this, but off the air in the behind the scenes live stream. If you ever want to chat with us, love to have you there. Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, and YouTube, you name it. We're all over the place, as well as the iHeartRadio app. You can listen. But the chat happening right now, folks asking those questions, and they think they're from, well, how soon will this affect gas prices? Well, it's a funny thing. The gas prices, they jump quickly and then they fall slowly. Although we'll see how everything's affected and impacted here in the next, I don't know, couple of days here now as things move right along. So keep an eye on it. We'll have the latest for you. Don't jump the gun, is what I'd say. Don't jump the gun on anything just yet. But we will jump to our latest conversation here with our good friend Tony Ferlini, who's running for Secretary of State right now, the Macomb County Clerk currently. So you talk about somebody who's got a finger on the pulse of how all of this works and what elections should look like. And by the way, we'll talk about that. But also, hey, what about, because the Secretary of State does a lot more than just elections. There's a whole series of other things that they do as well. That conversation starts to get even more serious as we move toward the general. And we welcome him on to congratulate him and say, congratulations, sir, as the nominee for the Republican Party as the Secretary of State. Big win just, I guess, a weekend or so back.
Yes, Justin. It was a surprisingly convincing win. I was very humbled by it. Didn't expect it to happen in the first round the way it did, but it did, and I'm very satisfied with the results.
It's interesting. We talked with Doug Lloyd, prosecutor in Eaton County, who's running for attorney general as a Republican as well. And it seemed like this convention, it just seemed as though things went smoother than anticipated, maybe is the best way to put it. And there seems to be a lot of unity right now.
Yeah, it was very nice to see, and I think that's kind of the tone that both Doug and I had as we were traveling the state, and even with my Secretary of State counterparts that were running. Hey, listen, man, listen. We are a family here. We need to stay together, and conventions end on a certain day. And my message was, words last forever. So let's just do it right. Let's talk about what we can do as a party, what we can do as a team, and let's put the insults aside. And I think that carried over to convention.
Yeah, it seems like there was that, and now there'll be a chance, obviously, to in August pick that candidate who'll be on the ticket for the governor, and things really start to heat up in this election. We've got a massive race for Senate. We've got other races in the House and the Senate. There's a chance for Republicans really to reunite here and come together and take Michigan back into the direction I think folks want to see it. It's been a really wild ride the last nearly 10 years now as Democrats have been in control. I'd like to see the adults back in the room, so to speak. What are you looking at? What are the most important issues as a candidate for Secretary of State? Obviously, election security and integrity, as somebody who came out and said, wait a minute, there are people on these roles and also on the jury duty roles who are not citizens. And the only reason we know is they've come and told us this. You did your own investigation and shone a big spotlight on this. This is shocking for a lot of people, but it sounds like something that would be a big initiative that you'd be willing to take on as a Secretary of State.
Oh, you better believe it. We did a lot in Macomb County of the blocking and tackling. We put rhetoric aside and we says, all right, what do the citizens need to know? They need to know that our citizens are the only ones voting, and we need to make sure that our jury pool, which I'm in charge of, is clean. We want to make sure election integrity holds true. We want to make sure our service is good. We have a turnaround time in our clerk's office of under 4 minutes they're served and under 10 minutes they're out the door. And that is something that's unheard of with a population of 850,000. That's the kind of stuff that I think the people of Michigan are looking for. They're not looking for political answers. They're looking for answers. They want people that are competent, that they can trust, and they provide the service that we are being entrusted to provide. And that's been my message since the very beginning. So I'm just telling you that this is what we're going to focus on, and just being the citizen that they are looking for, the leader that they're looking for, that provides that kind of a service to all people in our society. So,
yeah,
they're looking for competence and integrity.
And I got to tell you, one of the things that, and I just went through this last year, but the Secretary of State office does a lot more than just elections. That's a big deal. Obviously, that's probably the biggest deal. But when we come into contact, most of us come into contact with them. It's probably when we got to get a license or get our tabs done or something along those lines. That's the thing that I think that most people have that connection to. And watching how things run there should give us, I think, a good look into how things run behind the scenes with elections.
Well, Candace Miller, who was Secretary of State several years ago, said that exactly that. She says, when I was in office, it was about providing a better service for the car dealers, a better service for the average citizen that gets their tabs and their license plates. It was very little to do with elections. And I think the hanging chad, the problem that they had in Florida, brought a lot of this to light and started changing the direction of how we look at elections. And, 1,600 employees or so that the Secretary of State has, I think they only have 84 in elections. So you can see where the priorities are in that office, as they maybe should be, providing the service, the day-to-day services that the people in the state of Michigan are looking for.
Anthony Forlini's with us right now. He's running for Secretary of State as a Republican here in Michigan, as obviously the Macomb County Clerk. And, talking about those differences that need to be made. Okay, so we've had a big and a unifying convention for Republicans on one hand, and then we look to the other hand, and Democrats are set to have their convention. We got news. I found it quite interesting, but they have a special guest who's coming to speak at their convention. It'll be former Vice President Kamala Harris, which I find to be, I guess they're going to get things ready with the salad bar there. She'll be serving up all you can eat word salads at their convention. But it really is interesting because it shows a stark contrast between, I think, winners and losers in one hand and where the direction really is that these two parties want to go.
Yeah, well, I found that interesting too, and I'm not sure how to take it, and I'm not sure what their thoughts are. But I wish them luck in their convention, and whoever they put forward, we're going to be ready for them.
Yeah.
So you've got Garland Gilchrist, who's got name-wide recognition across the state, which would be formidable, I would think. And so then they got a couple other players in this also, and we'll see how that all plays out.
Anthony Forlini is the Secretary of State candidate for Republicans. Folks want to maybe meet you and have conversations with you in person. What's the best way for them to do that? Obviously, you got the website up and running, but maybe they want to come and have some conversations while you're on the road.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we crossed the state before the convention. Just the week before, I put 2,200 miles on my car. And so when I heard you talking about gas prices, I can't wait for them to go down. Hopefully it'll happen in the next couple of days. But if they want to get a hold of me, certainly send me an email at info@anthonyforlini.com. And we'll reach out. And we've been crisscrossing the state, and we'll continue to do so.
Looking forward to the latest. Absolutely. And welcome back anytime you have any news or just want to share with us. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always. Thank you for taking the time. You got it.
Thank you. Take care.
Secretary of State candidate for the Republicans, Anthony Forlini. He's the Macomb County Clerk, and the latest as we dig into this. I think this election is going to be, as I mentioned, it's going to be the most critical for the state of Michigan. Just like 2024 was nationally. Here in Michigan, what we're facing in 2026 is going to determine the direction we go as a state. There's just no way around it. We've got a moment, just a place here in time where we can possibly save things, right the ship, put things back on track. But we've got to act, and we've got to make sure that folks realize how important it all is. And in fact, we'll do more of that. We'll give you a chance to weigh in too. Coming up in just moments. Don't go anywhere. Let's check the market here one more time again as we think. Rocking and rolling up over almost 1,400 points this morning. We're keeping an eye on things here. The latest, it's a Dow up nearly, like I said, 1,400 points. Lots of green on the screen after the big ceasefire announcement yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that. And the oil prices that tend to be driving this whole thing as well as oil dropping. So anyway, we'll see where that goes, as lots of fear may be driving things. But today, optimism, it's hope, as we see the psychology sort of play a big role there. The last thing you want to do is be, wrapped up, afraid of what's going on, and kind of equate the markets to feeling like a roller coaster ride, as President Trump does what he needs to do to right the ship and get things back on track. It can't feel that way. You don't have to feel nauseous, though. You don't have to be up all hours of the night worrying, thinking about how you're going to get it done, whether you want to retire today or tomorrow, 10, 20 years down the road. It doesn't matter. You got to get in and make sure that you've got a holistic approach. And the folks at Talon Wealth do just that. Mike Lester and the team will make sure that you are well on your way. And you can get exactly where you want to go when you want to get there. Well, that's just their approach. In fact, you want to find out how things work, how they do what they do, how the sausage is made, see behind the scenes. Call them today at 616-661-1000. That's 616-661-1000. Or go online to guardingyournestegg.com. But do it today before it's too late.
FYI. Like, literally. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 1069 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, April 8th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. A judge in a rural county of northern Michigan handing local residents there a hard-won victory against a massive solar development facility that threatened to reshape the quiet area of Grant Township in Sheboygan County. She's back. Michigan Democrats inviting former Vice President Kamala Harris to deliver a speech at the party's convention next week. Democrats will endorse nominees the next day for Attorney General, Secretary of State, university boards, and the State Board of Ed. And Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel files yet another lawsuit against President Trump, challenging his executive order regarding election integrity. This marks her 53rd taxpayer-funded lawsuit against the Trump administration since he took office again in January of 2025. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
You'll use the radio in your car more than anything else. When buying a new car, make sure.
All right, folks, running full speed ahead into a fantastic after show, which will be coming up in just moments. Today is a Maha Health update. I believe we've got some big ones coming from Missy today. Yep. About 10:15 this morning, so stand by, wait for that. Ba-dum-bum-bum. What else? What am I? I'm leaving anything out? Am I? I'm going to tell you, I watched this stuff, and again, I don't. You can't. Anybody that tells you it's going to be one way, 100% or the other. You have to watch. You just can't. You can't depend on it all. Because we are not in a world of 100% certain. Matter of fact, that's the only thing certain is that nothing's certain. We live in a world of uncertainty. And certainly people will try and sell you on their narrative or their prediction or how they see things rolling. But I got to tell you, I've always sort of taken a little bit more of a wait-and-see approach. That said, I understand what the president's doing. I understand what he's been up to. And more than anything else, I've given him sort of the leeway to be able to do that. I think he's earned it. Has he not? The Panikin Patrol is, this is a great picture. Somebody posted this earlier. Folks losing their ever-loving minds. Hang on, back on the air. All right, jumping back on the phone lines. If folks want to weigh in, you can. There's a couple of ways to do this each and every day. 616-774-2424. The iHeartRadio app, click on that little microphone button there. Press the microphone next to the play button. Let it sound off. Let it rip. You can email me, Justin at justinbarclay.com. Way to get in as well. And let's see. On the phone with us now is Cindy in Rockford. Cindy, good morning. How are you? Welcome in West Michigan Live.
Good morning, Justin. I would just like to say, as far as Alyssa Slotkin goes, please don't fall for this ever again. She didn't do one thing for our state. She is a traitor, and she is dreaming if she thinks she could run this country. Please, people, do your research. Get out there. Listen to the candidates. See if they're honest, if they're transparent, if they're trustworthy. And vote with your heart. It's time for the crazies to go.
You know, I'm right there with you. I think most people listening to this program probably didn't vote for Slotkin. But I will say, you got to watch her. You got to watch Whitmer. You got to watch Mayor Pete. They're all out there trying to position themselves as sort of moderates. And they're not. I mean, Slotkin, we call her seditious Slotkin for a reason. She's just an opportunity. Yeah, Heather says in the chat here, she's just a political opportunist. But I think it's more than that. I do. I think these people want power at all costs, but they have really dangerous ideas about what they want to do when they get into power. And that's the thing that we got to watch as things start to heat up. But right now there's a vacuum, as I mentioned this earlier. There's a lot of people moving in so many different directions, particularly on the right too. We hear it every day, and this is one of the things we're watching play out right now. By the way, Cindy, thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Hang on, I'm gonna give something. You might give Cindy something for calling in. Stand by. I want to give her something that I've got something cool from inside my stuff. I got mugs. I got T-shirts. Maybe I'll give her something cool out of there. Grab her info. Anyway, great point, and absolutely right. The Sausage Queen, not to be confused with the Wolverine Queen, both of them have their eyes set on higher office at the same time that others have their eyes set on higher office, and I believe they have their eyes set on other things. Watch where they're going. Watch what these people tell you. You know, yesterday, the day before, we had panicans, people out there telling you that everything was going to collapse and that, you know, we were going into World War III and the President Trump was going to be a war criminal. Of course, he ought to be impeached for the 25th Amendment. He's crazy, too. So I don't know which one it is. Is he crazy? Crazy like a fox? Or is there something else going on behind the scenes? Maybe these people need to pick up. I just said, maybe we ought to start giving out free copies of The Art of the Deal. This is a great post. His name's Matt Forney. He made the point. We didn't get a forever war. You weren't drafted to die for Israel. Gas didn't go to $6 a gallon. We didn't put boots on the ground. We didn't get a flood of refugees. None of your predictions came true, and yet none of you will admit you're wrong. And it's so funny because these people, and some of them I've had respect for them. I can't believe I'm looking at some of these people thinking, what happened to these people? But he's right. They'll never admit it. Some of these people will never admit it. They'll just move on to the next complaint of the day. That's not the next reason to be upset. A meltdown of the day. That's exactly what we're going to be watching. And this is, it's all designed, by the way, to pull you in one way or the other. And I'm not the only one saying this. By the way, J.D. Vance saying this yesterday, talking to the doomers, the gloomers, the chicken little sky is falling, the black pillars. Listen.
The piece of advice I'd give to you, and I give it to American students, American conservatives in particular, is resist the temptation to think that victory is immediate or that we're going to win back our civilization through instant gratification. This institution was founded in 1996. It's far more influential than it was back then, but I think a lot of people, this is particularly true in the United States of America, if they see something that the administration does they don't like, they say, oh, that's not what we voted for, we're going to check out of politics. No. That's the exact wrong response. If we do something you don't like, the response should be to get more involved, to make your voice heard, and to try to push things in the direction that you want them to be pushed. Our civilization was not built overnight. It's not going to be saved overnight. And so what I'd encourage you to do is stay involved, be patient, and don't let disappointment turn to checking out of the system entirely. There's way too much of that, I would say, in the Anglo system and the American system. There's way too much, I didn't like this thing that the vice president said, or I didn't like this thing that the president did, and I'm going to completely check out. We call that blackpilling in the United States of America, and blackpilling is how you give power to the forces that are trying to destroy what our ancestors built.
This is exactly my point. This is what I've said. This is why this is happening. Psychological warfare, spiritual at that, on a mass level like we've never seen before, designed to do just that, as the Veep so freshly put out here. This is exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to discourage you from being a part of this at all. Yuri Bezmenov. Look that guy up. The Russian who talked, maybe we'll do a little bit this during the after show, but the Russian who talked about how this campaign, what Russians, communists were trying to do and how it worked behind the scenes. By the way, it is precisely what we're watching playing out right now as we speak in all of this. All right, that's all the time they give us. That's all the time we got for now. More tomorrow. The Glenn Beck program coming up next. If you want to join the after show, you can. Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube. My favorite place. The iHeartRadio app, wherever you download your podcast, you can listen live or archived. In the meantime, make it a great day. I'm Justin Barkley. God bless.
Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids.
The old Russian former KGB officer who laid it out, the whole plan. Again, this is why when people get all excited, I'm thinking two things about President Trump. Have you read The Art of the Deal? Maybe we should start giving like old dusty paperback copies out to people so you can read it. Have you read The Art of the Deal? Have you seen any of this? Yuri Bezmenov, the points that he makes, I think they are really fascinating. By the way, I think this came out in the 80s, some of the stuff he said. All right, anyway, let me get into it. Stand by. I'll break this down in just a moment. Let me just get a couple of buttons clicked.
Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barkley.
To the after show. It's the show after the show, folks. Never a dull moment, never enough time to get to it all, and here we are. Thankfully with you and strapped in for another big one. We were just listening to what Vice President Vance was warning of the black pillars, the Chicken Little skies falling, folks, and why that's so important. In fact, I want to bring you footage that's been around. I think it was done in the 80s. That explains the whole plan and why we're seeing America under attack. You can't celebrate astronauts flying around the moon. You can't celebrate a victory in Iran or the fact that we went in and saved an airman there. And in an incredible operation like so, which we've never seen before, almost. It's just insane. There's no reason you could ever be excited about the country or patriotic at all. And especially on America's 250th birthday. There's a reason for all of this. Anyway, a little bit more of what Vice President Vance was saying, wrapping up his conversation as he talks about blackpilling.
We need to take power back from those people and build the kind of institutions that can actually save our societies. It will not happen overnight. It will not happen in the term of one prime minister or one president, but it will happen so long as we keep our faith in God and we work hard to achieve it. That's what we have to do.
All right, there you are. I don't know where this was. This in England? Maybe it was somewhere in Europe. Maybe it was maybe in Italy. I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter as much as it does the point that he's making. The black pillar, Chicken Little, sky is always falling. The complaints, instead of engaging, are designed to make you disengage. There's a word for this. It was part of the Soviet Union, KGB's plan years ago to make you feel hopeless and helpless and to make you feel like there's nothing that you could do so that you would just disengage. Why? The last thing they want is you in the fight. Because that's what's got us to this place that we're at right now. When you finally got involved, when you finally got engaged, look at what you were able to do. Bezmenov was talking about, even as far back as the 80s, about how the Soviet Union was able to do some of the things that they were able to do. And you may not recognize this guy, you may not recognize his name, but the programs that they implemented were Soviet subversion campaigns. They were put together to make you feel completely drained, disenchanted, so that you would disengage and unplug altogether. Listen to what he said. And this may be the first time many of you have ever even heard this.
Useful idiots, the leftists who are idealistically believing in the beauty of Soviet socialist or communist or whatever system, when they get disillusioned, they become the worst enemies. That's why my KGB instructors specifically made the point, never bother with leftists. Forget about these political prostitutes. Aim higher.
But to eliminate the others, to execute the others, don't they serve some purpose? Wouldn't they be the ones they rely on?
They serve purpose only at the stage of destabilization of a nation. For example, your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split and now he's working against Sandinistas. It's the same pattern everywhere. The moment they serve their purpose, all the useful idiots are either be executed entirely, you see, the useful idiots, the leftists who are idealistically believing in the beauty of Soviet socialist or communist.
So I don't know if those folks that are part of the No King's Day protests, running around with blue hair or whatever, I don't know if they're listening, I don't know if they're paying attention to this, but he's telling you what happens after they're done with you. At least that's from the Soviet perspective. That's what they'll do. Now there's a couple of if you go online and look at this stuff up, and maybe we'll put some of this in the stack today, but there's a couple of these interviews and conversations he had during the years, and I think this was the 80s. Here's one that's an hour long.
My father he's on the left here. My father was officer of the General Staff of the Soviet Army. He was inspector of land forces, Soviet troops stationed in countries like Mongolia, Cuba, East European countries. This is the picture taken at the entrance of my Institute of Oriental Languages. It's a part of Moscow State University. As every Soviet student, I was quote-unquote volunteering for harvesting grain in Kazakhstan. By the end of my training in school, I was recruited by the KGB. This picture was taken on that day, and you can see again how happy it feels to be recruited by the KGB. Pay special attention to number of bottles on the table. One of my functions was to keep...
Jason, I love you. I'm just going to say it. I'm tired of being called black pill when I ask why no rich pedophiles have been arrested. We were supposed to be voting to bring justice. I'm not calling, first of all, let me clear this up. I'm not calling you black pill. But the only thing you voted on was this. Maybe so for you, but that wasn't the only thing Trump ran on. And I don't know that he ran on rich pedophiles being arrested. He ran on justice. But I'll say this. It's not that you keep asking it, but you keep asking it and the answer doesn't change. So just, and again, I love you, so I can tell you this, but like, you can ask a question over and over again. The answer doesn't ever change. And just because the answer didn't change doesn't mean that it hasn't been answered. You may not like the answer, but I've said this before. They couldn't even arrest Don Lemon. They couldn't even charge Don Lemon. And we're not privy to what's happening behind the scenes, what they're doing and what they're not doing. But they couldn't even arrest Don Lemon after they had him on camera going into a church, disrupting the worship service. By the way, all of this is against the law. These are civil rights violations. It's clear what the law says about these things. So, how do you think they're going to go get billionaires or millionaires or whoever they are and just round them up and arrest them? What you have to have play out is a system of justice that works. And I know a lot of people want to see gallows. They want to see, vigilante, almost like vigilante justice. I just don't think you're ever going to see that. Certainly pray for justice. But think about Letitia James. Think about Comey. I mean, they can't get these people. They try to charge them, and either the grand jury won't charge or a judge, you got Boasberg coming back and going, okay, I'm just waiting for today's Boasberg announcement. Did you see the one from the weekend? Judge Boasberg, probably anyway, out there saying, no, they've got to return that airman. They rescued that airman from Iran. Boasberg saying they've got to return him, get him back on a flight, put him back out in the middle of Iran. These are the people we're dealing with. Here it is. This is it. This is great. These memes are absolutely priceless. I know, Jessica, military tribunals, but you could say that, but that doesn't mean they're going to be able to pull it off or do that. And then again, if that doesn't work out, because it's a big step to say President Trump needs to enact martial law. That's a big step. That doesn't work out. Then Gavin Newsom gets elected next, and he'll have his tribunals, and then they'll, then they'll see what you posted on Facebook and come grab you, scoop you up in the middle of the night, and have your tribunal. We're not far from that. They were trying to do that under Biden. You can't hang everything, and that's an interesting way to put it, but you can't hang everything on that one thing, and you can't hang every administration on one thing. You have to look at the whole thing as a big picture. So I understand the frustration. Again, I don't think that's being blackpilled, but you also have to realize you're being influenced. Even when you don't realize it, you're being influenced. I got a great story about this I just saw the other day. I want to share it with you coming up in just a second. It's about how you're being influenced, and at the rate of which that you're being influenced that you don't even realize. It's the way that it plays out is incredible. I'm going to share that with you coming up. But first, a little bit more of Yuri Bezmenov, okay? I hope this isn't boring to you, because this is something that you must see if you haven't yet.
To change the perception of reality of every American.
This is how you change a country, by the way. It's not with bombs. It's by what we're seeing play out right now.
To such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one.
You're watching this, by the way, play out right now. Demoralization playing out as we speak. And we may have even reached, the full scope of it. We may have actually already gotten there. We may actually already be demoralized in some ways if we're honest about it. I don't love it. Look, I don't love it. I'm just telling you, what we're watching play out is really spooky. It's really scary. By the way, I should ask you, while we're in the middle of this, let me ask you to click share today, if you haven't already done this, because I kind of just got in and I forgot to ask. If you haven't clicked share yet, click share. I want to give somebody something cool from the store. Facebook, Twitter X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, no matter where you're watching today, click share, help us get the word out so that people can see stuff like this. What I'm getting ready to show you. So important. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs. We got all kinds of good stuff inside the store. And I want to give you something. Somebody that shares today is going to win something from inside that store. So again, what does that process look like to take down a country? KGB, former KGB, Yuri Bezmenov back in 1980.
In spite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic...
That we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of ceasing the means of production.
See how fast and how far we've come? Anyway, it's just a little bit of how it works. And by the way, I think it's happening on the right now. I think the right's being targeted. We played the clip yesterday where Tucker Carlson was coming out talking about socialism, and the guest he didn't even push back on it at all. I mean, it's wild. And here we are. Yuri Bezmenov, Y-U-R-I. Bezmenov, B-E-Z-M-E-N-O-V. And it describes the NPCs, but it describes who these people are, as you were just mentioning. And I saw a meme today where it's like the brain and the guys, that weird art thing where the guy's like, the NPC guy. And they have like his back of his brain's opened up, and they're taking out one chip and then putting in another. That's what they were doing yesterday. We saw it in real time happen. Donald Trump, he's the 25th Amendment. He's gone crazy. Let's take out that chip. And then they literally, as soon as the ceasefire was announced, put in the new chip. He's chickened out. Click. He's chickened out. They have peace. There's a ceasefire now. So these people were calling him crazy because he was a madman going to take us into World War III in one moment. And then the next moment, click, he's chickened out. It's happening in real time. I'm just showing you this because I don't know if you've seen it before, but I think you would benefit quite greatly for people to understand what they're doing behind the scenes, why they're doing it, and why all of this matters so much. It's so important. All right. That being said, there are some good things happening, and particularly on some of the major fronts. Is why I said you can't judge one administration, one presidency on one thing in general. You have to look at the holistic. You have to take a really 30,000-foot snapshot on it all. And one of those big things that we're adding up right now is the Maha movement. It's time for our latest Maha up. Our good friend Missy is joining us right now. Maha Missy with the latest on the Maha update today. And this is one of those areas, Missy, that I think some people may even take for granted. All the massive moves we've seen last week, we actually took a look back at some of those big things. And in fact,
this is another big week. There are a couple of things we want to share with you and some warnings as well. But we've seen some big moves over the last week or so. Welcome in, Missy. Good to see you. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I'm great. CEASFIRE, huh?
Another big day, another big win. But what's funny is by the time people hear this podcast when it drops, there are people watching the live stream now that'll see this today, but they're watching this podcast that drops over the weekend. Maybe we'll have a ceasefire, maybe we won't. I've been clear about this entire time. Maybe we move in the right direction. Maybe we won't.
Isn't this the art of war? That's what I'm saying. Art of war. I mean, if we can figure this out, from our homes, then maybe we need the job of the White House. I mean, I have to lean on the fact that I'm trusting.
I don't want a job at the White House. I know what you mean. And the art of the deal is happening right behind the scenes as we watch this play out too. It is, to me, it's obvious, but not to everybody. And I understand that, because some things that are obvious to me aren't obvious. Some other things, some of the things that we're watching, some things that are obvious to other people aren't obvious to me.
Right. It depends on, I think, a lot, in my opinion, because I got a phone call over the weekend from my brother, and he's like, I know when he's calling, he's like, what do you think is going on? Because he's flipping out a little bit. And I'm like, hey, trust the process. That's all we can do, is trust the process. And I said, I believe in what he's doing. It doesn't make any sense. But you know what? I'm not privileged with all the information that he does have.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him. He was, quote unquote, living with the enemy. They were all around. And I think that we're going to still continue to see some people that we may have trusted in over the years turn out to be maybe a plant of some sort. So
it's so weird, the things that we're seeing out right now.
Crazy. But what a time to be alive. What a time to really watch what a revolution happened. We're living in a revolution. I don't know, people, and I mean, revolutions aren't cute. They're not pretty, and they don't smell good all the time. They don't look good all the time. They don't feel good. They're uncomfortable. But the base of it, I think that the majority of Americans have woke up and just recognized something's off. And something's off in our food. I mean, I think that's what we're going to be talking about. I mean, something has been massively off in our food. And for some of those that are just starting to see it, I've been around for 30 years now, blowing the bugle, getting tomatoes thrown at me through all the years, going, she's crazy. She's crazy. Fluoride is like, oh, wow. So it's kind of like, sometimes I have to pull back my conversation to meet your people right where they're at, because and again, that's where some people are just waking up to politics and understanding that, I don't know. I mean, everyone's waking up at their own pace. And I think having a lot of grace for the other and trust. So, yep. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
I agree with that. It's a great way to put it. I want to warn people too. While all the great things are happening right now, there are some things that may not be so great. And what do I mean by that? Well, because all of the changes we see occurring, there may be companies or people looking to take advantage and not be completely honest about everything.
Of course, because why wouldn't they? They gotta ride the wave too. They're just going to put on a different kind of costume and ride that wave with us. And we're going to think they're a part of us. We're like, yeah, they've changed. And like, oh, they didn't change this, change costumes.
Yeah. This is the latest, in fact, on food and changes that are being made behind the scenes and loopholes that are you might want to be aware of.
Have you noticed this at the grocery store lately? More packages are labeled no artificial colors.
I brought this up to you last week and I thought, man, what a great story. This is so cool.
Yeah.
But it turns out there's more happening behind the scenes on this and what meets the eye.
So that must mean it's healthier, right? Not exactly. Before, if a product had a label that said no artificial colors, it meant just that, no added colors. But under a new policy by the FDA, only a specific group of dyes are considered artificial.
Petroleum-based dyes like red 40, yellow 5, and blue 2. Any other sort of added color gets a pass.
So that means ingredients like titanium dioxide can still be in the food. It's a synthetic whitening agent used to brighten foods like candies and cheeses. And by the way, it's banned as a food additive in the European Union. Consumer advocates say this new policy can mislead and confuse consumers because products can contain synthetic color additives and be labeled no artificial colors, as long as they don't contain any petroleum-based dyes. So what does this all mean? Experts say you need to read the ingredient label to make sure that you know what's in your food before you buy it.
All right, Missy, I got to ask you, how do you make sense of this? Because people are trying to do the right thing. I've seen there are apps that you can get and download that'll show you what's good and what isn't, what's in things and what else. So if you're at the grocery store and you have a question, you can like scan it.
Right.
What do you recommend to people? I mean, other than saying, okay, I'm not going to eat any sort of chips or any sort of this, that, or the other thing. I mean, I guess you could just fully and simply say only real food. But there are people that are trying to make these small steps and improvements.
Yeah, I mean, one bite at a time, one bite at a time. It
Yeah.
doesn't change overnight. And, for people, it's just like, what it's like change one thing. So if it's going to be the potato chip aisle, do your due diligence and go ahead and look for. It's unfortunate. We need a chemistry degree to read a label. But you know what stinks is we've always needed the chemistry degree to read the label, but no one was reading the labels. So I call this a huge win. People are looking at labels now. I mean, do you know how monumental that is? No
Yeah.
one read labels up to like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even 1 years ago, maybe a couple years ago. But I mean, what I do is I go in my potato chip aisle and I find the potato chips and the foods I'm going to eat that basically have 3 ingredients: potatoes, salt, and something else that I know is not a bad thing. So I mean, but I think this is part of people's frustration is how in the world are these people able to dress up in a new suit and slide on through and become FDA approved? I think that's part of the problem is that we still have people in positions in power that are still controlling things. And again, just because you're the president of the United States, you can't come in. You look and see how many things that he has attempted to put into place, but then you send it up the food chain. I didn't know there was another food chain involved in, over like I'm learning stuff too. I'm like, yes, this Trump signed this into order. And I'm like, why isn't it happening? And because somebody blocked it. It's just like until we get rid of those people that are blocking the movement of what we want to see happen, I mean, but at least it's moving. I mean, we're moving in the right direction. It's not as fast as what we would like, but it's moving, which is great.
Hey, D1P over on Rumble says, I've suggested people to journal like what they're eating on a daily basis so they can maybe see what's triggering their.
Oh, absolutely. So that's one thing. Yeah. So great. Yeah. Back to the basics kind of stuff. Something that a lot of things that humans that people are doing is a lot of people get used to eating the same food day in and day out. Because why wouldn't you? It's convenient. You can buy it. You can eat it. But sometimes your body even develops an immune response to that and turns on you. But what he said is dead on the money. Weigh yourself in every day. Start weighing yourself no matter how much you want to see it or not. And if you could get a scale at home, you can buy these for like less than $30. You want a digital scale that's going to show you your weight, your body fat percentage, as well as your hydration, because one number on the scale does not tell the whole story. And I've seen that time and time again with what I do for a living, with helping people turn their metabolisms back on. What would happen if you in 1 week, you drop 3 pounds of body fat, but your hydration went up 2.5 pounds. So if you were using an old-fashioned scale that just tells you one number, well, if you drop 3 pounds of fat, but you hydrated those cells, which is what you need, by 2.5 pounds of water, the old-fashioned scale is going to make you feel like you lost 0.5. And that's a bummer. People are going to, they're so frustrated. And then it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go back and eat like I used to. Don't. First of all, get real data. Get your weight, your fat, and your hydration numbers. And then, like he said, go ahead and start journaling. What did you eat today? Get on the scale the next day. Did you stay the same? Okay. Do you still feel it? I mean, you're going to start learning. Eventually, people can determine, are there certain foods that are causing inflammation, like gout, you crash, you eat the food, you got a bundle of energy, and then you crash hard. Are you crashing hard because you had a lot of sugar? I mean, you gotta be an investigator of your own self. And journaling, gosh, that was a good one. I like that one.
I thought it was interesting too. And, one of the things I've seen lately too, and I don't know how in depth you are on this or any of your knowledge, but I've seen people do testing. And it's kind of a high tech thing. I think you take some hair or something and ship it off, and they do some testing to find out, like, if you have any food allergies or things that you might be sensitive to.
Sure.
I don't know how much that costs. It sounds like your plan might be a little cheaper.
Yeah, it does, and again, it's I love that, but boy, that to me is still an outdated tool to gauge anything, because what that is not telling you, it might be telling you what you're allergic to, but it doesn't tell you why. Everything that is going wrong inside of the human body is biological chemistry, and it's quantum. I mean, the people just have never learned that how the body really works and how it functions. Because let's just take this, if the body were considered to be a machine, okay, no discredit to God, but let's just, for argument's sake, say it's a machine. Scientists and doctors, no one on planet Earth has ever been able to create this machine from nothing. They can replicate us, they can duplicate us, clone us, they can do all that, but they can never create us from nothing. Therefore, we can say science has never made this machine. And if they've never made this machine, do they really understand how this machine works? Well, if you go back in time, Nikola Tesla, who said you got to know what a frequency is, what we would learn is that this inside of our body, this is a little technical-ish, but we're electrical. The two systems that cause our bodies to actually run. What makes your computer run? What makes your TV run, your phone run? But what makes our bodies run? It's electrical. You have a central nervous system, and you have 36 trillion cells inside the human body, and those cells are acting just like a cell phone. And they're communicating with amongst the 36 trillion of them. It's a network. So the scientists have been able to create the network that's inside of us, nor our central nervous system. They can't. And those are the two things that controls the whole show. We've been taught, look at the heart, look at the lungs, look at the brain, look at all this stuff. Great, but what's running all of those? And so if we look at it like that and we think to ourselves, we've never been rebooted. We've never been reset. We've never gone back and said, man, unplug it and plug it back in. And I'm not talking about dying. I'm talking about the body's electrical. And unless you know where the electrical messages got impinged, or if they stopped, everyone's got a house. You've seen the power go out in that kitchen, and all you had to do is go to the breaker box, find the kitchen switch, and go flip it right back on, and the power comes back on the kitchen, and you're able to cook, and everyone's happy. And no one called that a miracle. So when people, discover that they can literally turn their body back on, a hair sample going off to check out what are you allergic to, okay. But I'm like, how about if we scanned your body to find out why are you allergic to that? Why do you have gout? Why do you have high blood pressure? Why? That's why you drive your car and the mechanic and you're like, I don't understand why it's clinkering and clunkering. They're like, well, let's just put this little diagnostic tool in here. And like, oh, there it is. Boop, boop, boop. That sensor's off. That sensor's off. That sensor's off. Flip. On you go, Joe. See ya. Hopefully not for another couple of years when your car starts to, our bodies are just like that. Check red engine lights are going on all the time in our body, but we've been trained like good boys and girls, just take a medicine and that's going to help it. No, doesn't. So yes, I mean, yeah, you can go send that hair sample out to find out what you're allergic to. But my brain goes, why are you allergic to it? I wonder what part of your body's not working right. Let's turn that part of your body back on so that way you can enjoy it again. Oh, and let me say, enjoy real food, not turn your body back on so you can go and introduce it to some chemicals, because that's why your body got there in the first place. The reason why people are having such a hard time is because they weren't aware that they've been eating things that have been massively confusing the inside of this machine of ours.
Folks, we're going to talk about this more in depth. We got some other big stories that we want to share with you as well. In fact,
I thought there was an interesting poll, Political, revealing what Maha supporters actually believe. That's kind of interesting. And the latest from the EPA on your water and what you're drinking. But first, I'm down like 30 pounds, a little over 30 pounds now. My wife now 30 pounds too. The best thing is we feel better than ever. We have more energy. We're no more aches and pains. Now, I wasn't on medication, but a lot of time people who join Missy and the folks at My Pure Health Solutions, they get off their medicines, drop pant sizes, and just couple 2-3 pant sizes in just a matter of a couple of
yeah, in 40 days, the average female will shapeshift. I say, and they don't turn shapeshift is not turning into a lizard. I had to say that shapeshift. They're going to drop fat and hydrate. So you shape that. Those ladies right there on that thing. That was what happened to them in 20 days. 20 days. Wow. 20 days. It's because why? Shocker, when you turn your metabolism back on, bring those jumper cables, the body's going to respond, and it's going, because a true functioning metabolism. Here's some people at home. Here's a question. I love to ask people this. What do you think controls your metabolism? What is it that turns your metabolism on or off? That's a fun one for people to really ponder, because I haven't met anyone that's told me the right answer yet. And I've spoken to 14,000 people. No one's ever given me the right answer, because we've been.
What is it? What is it?
Oh, what is it? Well, it's a network. There's a network. I kind of gave it away. There's a network inside. There's a 2,800 member network inside the body. 2,800 biological markers inside the body that are measurable. Every biomarker means you can measure it. So there are 2,800 individual systems inside the human body that when they're all turned on, that car is just flying down the road. That's your metabolism. When something's turned off, the dominoes started to fall down. When maybe for some people, it's unfortunate, the dominoes fell off when they were 5. And they've been overweight since they were 65. And they cry when they meet me. They cry because I tell them, it's not your fault you can't lose weight. No one ever told you what really controls it, because you thought it was food in, how much food in. Do you exercise? Is it genes? Is it age? Is it hormones? Sure. And 2,796 other things too. And so when you turn them on, and then because a functioning metabolism burns fat naturally. Why? Yeah. Because the body needs that fat to convert it into energy. And that's why, so when the machines turn on, when the system turns on, the body's going to start to naturally lose weight on its own, naturally, by eating real food. This is not I'm not another gimmick. I'm not riding no wave on that. Weight loss industry is a $90 billion industry. Just con artist games left and right, and they just package their next little packagey thingy up in another bottle, another shake, another bar, or lately these days it's shots. These shots that are killing people. I had a husband and wife call me the other day, and they're like, "Oh, you sound amazing. I really want to do this, but I have 4 more months of shots left." That we're already on 2, and we already did gastric bypass a few years ago. But at the end, and I said, well, if you're still in good health, call me at the end of those months, because I'm not going anywhere. So it's sad. It's sad, the brainwashing. It really is.
Maha, Missy, reach out today, by the way. Healthwithjustin.com is the website where you can find out about what Lizzie and I have been doing, and so many others who are listening to this program.
Those are 40 days. That husband, they're not husband and wife. That guy on the left, that was 60 days. The lady on the right, that was 60 days. The lady on the left, that was 80 days. She worked at the bank. She was my bank teller. Oh yeah, the guy on the left, that was 60 days. The girl on the right, that was 40 days.
Congratulations, by the way, to Sean, who is down 7 pounds now as well.
Woo-hoo. There you go. Look at all that fat that lady's holding on to.
It's incredible.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that's what true functioning metabolism looks. Look, and you want to know, everyone thinks, oh, if I'm losing all that weight, I'm going to have a bunch of extra rolls hanging off. Well, I'm sorry you think that, but that's what happens when you lose weight with whatever you're using. We burn fat. I mean, because when a functioning metabolism burns fat, people have never experienced that when they've just done lose weight. They lose muscle. They lose everything. No one loses muscle with me. There's no fat in muscle.
Yeah. By the way, you want to call today, 269-964-4044. Just have a conversation with Missy and talk about these things. She can help you in so many ways, just getting back to being healthy
from the inside out. 269-964-4044 or healthwithjustin.com is the website. Healthwithjustin.com. All right, Missy. What do these Maha people actually believe?
It's interesting.
They did a little poll on this, and I found it kind of it was a little interesting. Third of Americans self-identify as Maha. Top priorities: removing ultra-processed foods and dyes from diets, junk food from SNAP, limiting pesticides and forever chemicals and microplastics, and boosting fitness. Now, if you've been paying attention to some of the things they've been doing so far, these are at the top of those lists. In fact, we'll talk about the water and the microplastics here in just a second. Vaccines and fluoride, maybe not necessarily core issues, they say. Only 42% see vaccines as central. Many supporters can't even define Maha clearly, showing the movement, they say, in political lacks full cohesion despite broad appeal on food and chemicals. I think that's just the cop-out of some of these people who don't want you to be healthier, trying to sort of drive a wedge in the Maha movement. Again, it's not going to happen.
No. I mean,
organic. It's organic.
Is what? Sorry, I mean, I was reading what we're going to talk about today, and I have to think about because so many people are going, he's not doing enough, and they're not. I mean, all this, like, you got the peanut gallery in the back, which is us. Hey, my cause. Hey, my cause. And I have to think about a church. I have to think about organizations, a church, a school, a college that's been around for years, that when they decide that, it's time to, let's roll back and see, we want a fresh landscape. We want to do things different. And, we're going to start putting X amount of dollars towards this and this and this and that. And then you got the people in the audience, they're like going, but I thought that taking care of the elderly was the most important. That was the focus of what we were here for. And then other people are going, I thought that we're going to go more towards the let's like reach out to the youth. And other people are like, well, I thought we we're going to take care of the single families in the church. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Everyone comes at it from what they're most passionate about, and so again, we're all passionate and everyone's got, I mean, it takes a long time to turn a cruise ship around. America is not in a speedboat that is like, hey, I forgot my bathing suit at the dock, turn around, psh, and like go back, or like forgot lunch at the dock, turn around, psh. Is like, if I forgot something and I'm on a cruise ship, they aren't turning around. It takes a long time to pivot. And so that's where it's like, and in that long time of pivoting, there's a lot of people that I believe have infiltrated a lot of things to how do you deflate anything? You got to create division. And when you create division, frustration and everything else comes in. And it's just like, you just got to keep staying the course. I mean, if I would have given up years ago and not believe, and just, I don't even think anyone was listening to me a lot. I mean, hardly anyone was. I mean, I'm the same message I'm still saying today is the same message I said years ago, and I barely had an audience. And nowadays, it's just like people are calling me like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? I'm getting text messages left, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And it's like, why do they ask me? I stayed the course. And I believe that's what RK, that Junior, that's what Trump's doing, and the team that they truly believe in. I mean, again, we got to pray for wisdom over them, right? I mean, we got to pray. We've got to pray. So sorry, I digressed on that, but I'm surprised. I mean, I was shocked at because you would think that because everyone's like vaccines, and then the other people are like going, hey, we're not most concerned about that. We're concerned about food. And the people are, chemicals. Yeah.
It's interesting because it is very personal. Everybody has, I think, the one thing that is most important to them. But we see that with so many other things, as you just said. But I think the overarching theme here is that people realize that they've been lied to, and that health is such a pressure. It is a real wealth, being able to be healthy and do the things that you need to do, and be able to be in this fight. There is a reason why we've been so targeted in this way for so long. One of the things they're doing right now is trying to fix, in fact, issues with the water. We've heard about microplastics and some of those other things for so long now. The EPA Lee Zeldin finally confirming it, the EPA taking action to guard drinking water against some of those issues that we're seeing, microplastics, pharmaceuticals, some of the PFAS forever chemicals that we deal with here, and a dozen other issues that we've seen as well. This is a major breakthrough, one
We're
that's
taking
needed.
major steps in today's
Much
announcement
needed.
to make America healthy again. I'm pleased to announce a landmark set of actions by EPA to safeguard the nation's drinking water from microplastics, pharmaceuticals, forever chemicals, and dozens of other contaminants. At the heart of these actions is our draft 6th contaminant candidate list, known as CCL6, which we are releasing today for public comment. CCL6 is a critical tool under the Safe Drinking Water Act that drives research, funding, and future regulation of emerging threats in public water systems. The draft CCL6 includes 4 contaminant groups: microplastics, pharmaceuticals, PFAS, and disinfection byproducts. It also covers 75 chemicals and 9 microbes that may be found in drinking water. And now, for the first time in the program's history, EPA is designating both microplastics and pharmaceuticals as priority contaminant groups.
You know, it's so funny because I think when most people just go to the tap or wherever they go, they just assume that what's coming out is clean. And I think in recent years, people really started to wake up to this notion because we're starting to see things like, water filters become like a big deal, and people are looking into what it is that they're consuming. But I still see lots of people like run around with bottles of water, and I have to think about that sometimes too. And I go,
Isn't that sad that I can't even, I've never drank, I don't even give my dog water on my faucet. I'm an American. I pay taxes, I work for a living, and I can't drink my water.
Yeah.
Where did we go wrong, right? Well, I'm telling you what I see when I scan, because what I do, this sounds crazy, but I am able to scan the body. And that shouldn't sound crazy because you go to an MRI, you go to an X-ray, and they see the inside of your body and you don't question it. So why can't I scan the body? Well, we can, thanks to Nikola Tesla kind of people, right? They talked frequencies. I'm a frequency business. And what I see, sorry, I'm going to get a little emotional with this. What I see inside of my clients, when they come in, we scan their body and we're able to see what pathogens are in their body that are causing destruction to happen, because we want to see we want to treat both. We want to turn the systems back on that have been turned off, get the metabolism working. At the same time, it does not look good to do all that great things, do all that unless we're taking care of the junk that somehow your body's picked up on. And what I see is water contaminations all day long, especially Michigan people, because my clientele base is all over the United States. So when I see the Michigan people come in, I definitely am paying some attention to the toxin list. And I had a client of mine about a year and a half ago. She died. She'd gotten scanned. She wasn't doing well. Her husband heard me on radio, scanned her body. About a week after I did, she went to the hospital. She was throwing up blood. He didn't know why. He called me. He's like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, keep me in the loop. We'll pray. By 4 days later, she was dead. She was a 35-year-old mom, 35-year-old mother of 2 little kids. And he goes, would you please look at her report and tell me, is there anything that you could see that would make sense? They said she died. Something was wrong with her liver. So I went through her scan and I found 7 water contaminations that were inside of her body was resonating with. And out of those 7, I went and Googled all 7 of them to find, like, is there any common denominator? Because these are toxins that this machine was never designed to have inside of it. And that just goes to show you the resilience of this machine of ours, how it just keeps going, because it has to. Well, when I looked at the 5 out of the 7, what they had in common was what could cause kidney failure and liver failure. So I called the husband back and I told him what I found. And he said, that's exactly what she died of: liver failure, kidney failure, and they don't know why.
Yeah.
So why is that stuff in our water supply anyways? Why do we even have to have a conversation about this?
Yeah.
Where were the control group, back then? The government hasn't been, we've I'm telling you, you see what they're up against? This is hard
I
stuff.
know. I know, and it will continue because it's quite a fight. As you mentioned, this is not something that happened overnight. And while we're making steps, and I think it's a good reminder for all of us, patience in all of it, because we're making steps to get to these
Absolutely.
these places. They're steps that have to, they're baby steps. They have to occur to get us where we need to go. But we have to stay on that track, and keeping us there is going to be
And
the really
not give up. Keep using our voices because I don't think the country isn't divided on cleaner food. It's divided on whether the people in power actually mean what they say they mean. And that's just watching it. And yeah, people, yeah, I agree. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I think what I truly look at is I look at my granddaughters, they're 7 and 3 years old, and I look at them like, what kind of world are they going to have?
Yeah.
Because I sure hope that they're not talking the same stuff that I'm talking right now. I hope it's completely different. And that's why I keep pushing. I think that's why we all have to keep pushing. It's for our legacy behind us.
That's right. Mando asking about the website in front of her again, 269. If you want to call her up or have a conversation, 269-964-4044. That's 269-964-4044. Maha Missy, questions about your health. Obviously, the My Pure Health Solutions focusing on the fat loss and getting into that program like my wife and I have. But you also might just want to get healthy from the inside out, and there's a number of things you're dealing with. Those are the easy ways to ask questions. Maybe they can help at least point you in the right direction. Healthwithjustin.com. Again, is the website, healthwithjustin.com. Another big, exciting update on the Maha front. This is always
It's moving. We're moving in the right direction, I feel.
every single day. There's a little something, a little momentum headed in the right direction, and that's the key. It's just keep moving each and every day in the right direction, and you're going to get to where you want to go. But the biggest thing is that people are waking up to this, and they're more aware than ever before. And that's because of folks like you doing the great work you're doing, Missy. Thank you so much, as always.
Thank you, Jess, and thank you for your platform. Thank you.
You got it. Always a pleasure. God bless. Maha Missy, healthwithjustin.com. Or you can call 269-964-4044. But do it today. God bless.